Now, the people of Kakamega County elected FCPA Fernandez Barasa as their second governor, and he is now also the chairman of the Council of Governors Committee on Finance, Economic Planning, and Economic Affairs. He joins us on Newsline tonight. Governor, thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
It appears the people of Kakamega want financial experts as their governors.
Absolutely.
Now, as a finance expert, of course, the national government is already showing what it would like to do with the first Kenya Kwanza administration budget. I'm sure you're also preparing your first budget as well in Kakamega County. Yeah. But let's first talk about the national budget and the impact of it. The finance bill is the issue that's being discussed now. And of course, whatever measures pass through Parliament and then become law will affect everybody countrywide and may also affect the way that people live and are able to eke out a living, even in Kakamega County. What's your take on the proposals contained in the finance bill?
First and foremost, I want to discuss as finance experts. Now, looking at the period which we've just come from, the electioneering period, there are quite a number of economic indicators showing that we're not doing very well. Basically, indicators of economic recession like high inflation rates, the shilling weakening, the dollar now is doing at almost 136, the pound is 171, euro is 150. Now, when you look at those indicators from the financial perspective and economic policies, what the government should be doing through the National Treasury is to bring proposals that will spur economic growth so that you move from that recession period at least to a period of growth. And I'm afraid that the finance bill that is proposed is not bringing out those specific activities that will spur economic growth, in my view.
What do you think is contained in the finance bill that does not spur economic growth, that actually hinders economic growth?
Now, when you look at the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, which is commonly referred to as BETA, that is a bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The focus should be at the bottom of the pyramid. But now, wholesomely, the bottom of the pyramid, those are the fellows who are going to suffer more when this finance bill is actually approved into law.
How so?
Because first and foremost, issues around fuel levy. You know, fuel cuts across. And by the way, even before the fuel levy is pushed through in Parliament, you've seen what EPRA is doing. The price of petrol is being increased in this regime between now and 14th of June. Petrol will go up by almost 3.4 shillings per litre. Yeah. Diesel by 6.4 shillings per litre. Kerosene by 15 shillings. Now, when the bill kicks in, suppose it goes through, it will really compound issues further. And that definitely will make the cost of living increase. And you know, fuel is now the basic that is used by everybody, including that hustler who account for almost 60%. And that's what I'm saying. It defeats the bottom-up economic transformation agenda that seems to focus at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, the middle class are also not spared. When you look at the proposal of increasing income tax, that is pay from 30 to 35%, again, for me, it is actually, and by the way, holding other factors constant, the salaries are reducing, the cost of living has increased, so the disposable income has basically reduced. Yep. So if you have reduced the disposable income, then you're increasing taxes. What are you talking about? The middle income earners will definitely have a problem. Now come to the infamous house levy. I think Kenyans need to be given an opportunity, because you cannot propose a housing levy of 3% and then it's mandatory. For me, if the idea is to support the social and economic, or rather affordable housing for the mwananchi, then the government can have some specific allocations through the budget in the subsequent budget cycles to support affordable housing, as opposed to introducing a 3% housing levy. So those are just a myriad of things. Now, when you look at even the proposals around the aspiring economic growth. I'm telling you, wholesomely, when you look at the fiscal measures which have been put in place, there are no specific monetary policies that will address the weakening Kenya shilling, then definitely will not have economic growth.
But then, Governor, this is not coming out of the blues.
Yeah.
It's coming within a certain context. And the context is what we expect to do in the next financial year. There is a huge amount of debt to be paid in the next financial year, right?
Yeah.
Over 1.2 trillion shillings that ought to be paid. That can only be paid from tax revenues, from revenues coming from taxpayers. And then you have also got to manage a government.
Yeah.
You have to support devolution. You have money has got to come for devolution.
Yeah.
So if you are the one in charge of the national government, you're in charge of a county government, if you are the president and you had all these things to balance, how would you do it?
Now, of course, when it comes to matters budget, we are basically looking at the fiscal policy. And in this particular case, the fiscal policy has more or less focused on raising revenue through taxes. In my view, you can still raise revenue through taxes by looking at reforms around tax administration so that you seal off the loopholes. Look at areas that are untaxed, informal sectors, for example. So there's a lot of potential of increasing the tax base without necessarily affecting the overall objective of spurring economic growth. So yes, we need to have a balance on the fiscal policy, especially on matters raising revenue, and at the same time also look at the expenditure trends so that we also spend carefully, so that we manage the balance between the fiscal policies and the monetary policy. We also need to have specific, it's like if you're not encouraging investors to come around, definitely the amount of foreign reserves will dwindle. They'll go down. So we need to have deliberate measures on encouraging foreign reserves by creating an environment that will spur economic growth so that those investors are attracted to come around. That definitely will also reduce the pressure on the weakening Kenya shilling.
Yeah.
So the weakening Kenya shilling is there. It's affecting disbursement. The cash flow is low. Inflation is high. So what you need to do now is to come up with specific economic measures that will spur economic growth as opposed to what is being proposed in the finance bill.
You know, as we talk about governing the country, it's 47 governments plus one, the national government. And as all governors, especially now you as the chair of the Finance Committee of the Council of Governors, you sit at the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, where you discuss such affairs. You discuss how the country is heading economically, and you also then discuss shareable revenue for both arms of government. We are going to have a conversation at the end of, later on this evening, where we'll talk about whether, as governors, you have given proposals on how to manage our situation as a country at IBEC, whether, as governors, you have given proposals when you met with the president at the summit in Naivasha, and other meetings that I'm sure you've held between yourselves and the leadership of the national government. What ideas you've proposed, what have been taken, what have not been taken. We'll also, of course, discuss the issue of shareable revenue and the money that now is coming to the counties. 429 billion shillings.
It's not 429, my friend.
It's 385. But then there's the others that's going to come in. So we'll discuss that. But let's take a break. Governor FCPA Fernandez Barasa, the governor of Kakamega County, is our guest this evening on Newsline. Keep it here, because later on we'll be discussing more and more. The question tonight is the devolution dream and promise still alive? It was alive for sure in 2013 when we were beginning with devolution. Now, where is it? That's what we'll be discussing. Keep it here. It's 21% growth in profit for Equity Bank as it releases Q1 results.